Hey, Lewis, what's happening, brother?
You're looking clean over there.
Ooh, you know.
Looking real clean.
You looking?
Hey, I had something important I wanted to share with you before we started.
What's that?
What do sprinters eat before a race?
What do sprinters eat before a race? I don't know what.
Nothing. They fast.
Well, everybody obviously knows that you like dad jokes.
I only like them when I'm around you. For some reason, it makes me laugh. I had to Google some dad jokes real quick. I got one more for you. What?
Go ahead.
What concert cost just 45 cents?
I know that one. 50 cents with a nickel back.
I don't know why it's so funny to me.
It's so stupid. That's the best part
So
about it.
stupid.
All right, one last one. I got one for you.
Go ahead.
What do you call a guy with no shin?
Shinless?
Tony. All right. Some of you will get that later.
Oh man, I'm sweating.
All right, so yeah, listen. I'm gonna try to read your intro without giggling the whole time. But so I see you're in the studio. You're in the studio, right?
I'm here, man. Yeah.
All right. So New York Times best-selling author, lifestyle entrepreneur, high performance business coach was extremely important. Not many people could try to be a business coach, but high performance, and I know that comes from your history in sports, going and playing at the top of every level you've always have. Struggle with learning disabilities in school. You're dyslexic, right?
See, yes.
Yeah. So host your top 10 100 globally ranked podcast, and which I've had the honor and the pleasure of being on and learning from, called The School of Greatness, which launched in 2013 and has been downloaded over 40 million times. That is not...
We hit 200 million times, actually. That's
200?
200 million times. Yeah.
That means people downloaded. They didn't half-ass. They didn't. They downloaded, which was extremely important. They found the value in it, and they kept coming back. The White House President Obama, awarded you as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in the country under 30 years old. Huge accomplishment, and you've been on even more shows than I have. Looks like Ellen, the Today Show, New York Times. Also obviously People. Forbes, Fast Company, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, Men's Health, and others. And more importantly, I think I love talking about setting goals. You now committed to impacting 100 million lives by teaching people how to pursue their passion and how to earn full-time income while impacting the world. And of course, you appreciate dad jokes, but really impressive, man. Really, really
appreciate
impressive.
You. Thank you so
much. So thank you for being here. And I'm not gonna, just really dilly-dally with you. You and I are buddies, and we can. You've always supported anything I've done, and I support anything you've done. And I want people to be able to. Is she in there? Is that her making noise? Just close the door for me. We got the baby in the background.
Oh, good. You gotta make it work, baby.
Yeah, all right. And I just really want to get into some things. So. How did you transition at such a young age from being an athlete to a business person? And it could be timing, and I'm going to let you get into it. But even me, I'm on CNBC. I'm like the Kardashians of CNBC. They air it so much, right? And you have technically, if you look at, we were just looking at numbers, you have a bigger following and you have more people downloading things. And it doesn't mean there's any difference. The quantity over quality is totally different, but you have quantity and quality, which I appreciate. How did you make that transition at an age where you were really putting it all in as an athlete? And we didn't know you necessarily like the NFL big guys, right?
Yeah, I wasn't that good. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know about that, but I know there's a lot of politics in those games as well. But How did you transition from that point?
I really found a few key mentors early on that I learned from, to be honest. And I struggled in school. It's funny, I did an interview that came out yesterday where a friend of mine I've known since college interviewed me. And he goes, I remember you as a junior reading out loud in front of our class, and you couldn't read the book as a junior in college. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid has no future. He can't even read in college.
Right.
And it reminded me of how far I've come by figuring out, okay, I don't understand that game, the game of learning from books, but I'm really good at assimilating information from people like yourself. I'm really good at sitting with you, listening to you, and then observing all the actions you take. Specifically
Right.
with you, Damon. I watch it. I obsess over it. I'm like a student of life where I'm just constantly, everything you do is like game film for me.
Right.
And I'm replaying it back in my mind like I would on a football field. And I'm just seeing what are the things that are really making the maximum impact and how can I develop those same skills 10 years ago when I was getting started, and then every day moving forward, what are the skills I need to develop to maximize my vision with the tools and technology that's available. So I'm constantly researching, I'm constantly learning, interviewing people to consume ideas and information to grow.
And I appreciate you using me as an example. But there's a lot of people right now who are going to power shift in their life, and that they're scared. My favorite uncle, who passed away many years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, he was a career student. He got to the highest level with all the PhDs and everything else. And what he did was really amazing, in regards to, he was in the teachers, he was a guidance counselor, but he just loved to go to school. And that's what he loved to do as well, be a guidance counselor. A lot of people will, they'll constantly learn, they'll observe, but they won't take action, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll say, it's almost like double Dutch. When am I going to get in? Oh, you know what I mean? Like one of that. So for the people today, though, that right now, it is double Dutch. It is, do I sell my home? Do I move out of here? How do I keep my job? Hey man, you got a froggy or something in your throat? You all right? You all right? You want to take a little sippy?
I'm drinking my green juice. It's 10 a.m. over here. So
okay, about to say, all right, yeah, okay.
You got a few hours under your belt,
Yeah, all right. So how do you what do they do right now? Because they are scared right now.
I think people need. I think I've never been afraid to get punched in the face before I started, and I'm willing to get beaten, bruise ribs, get punched in the face, and be embarrassed and humiliated over and over again, because I know that's the only path to actually doing something important or valuable or meaningful, is to go through those failure steps early on. You've got how many kids do you have, Damon, that you know of?
I have 3.
You got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, I don't have any kids, but as a father, when you saw your kids learning how to walk early on and they would hit their head or bump on something or scrape their knees and cry, did you say, maybe this walking thing isn't for you? Maybe you should just like crawl the rest of your life?
Very true, very true. I didn't, and I think it first came to me. I remember when one of my daughters, she was little, and she went to the doctor's office, and all the parents can relate to this. And I think she was probably about 8, maybe 8 months or 6 months, and she had the little chunky thighs, and the doctor looked at her little chunky size, and then he stuck a needle in it, and she went and she screamed, and the doctor, and I just wanted to clock him. He said, she got to know pain. She'll never know, if she never knows pain, she'll never know how to grow from that. And I was talking to my wife the other day about our child and about my life, and the most painful things that I've experienced, the looking stupid, like you're saying, made me the better man I am. Because I remember when my mother, I was dyslexic, but I remember when my parents were getting divorced, and I was right around, I think, 7th grade. And I said, and I remember at that time, the teachers knew I was failing, and I did really bad on the test. And they said, we know Damon's acting up, because I believe that if I would just fail, my parents would get back together to save poor old Damon.
Wow.
The teachers told my mother one time, they said, listen, if Damon passes last test, just pass his last test, we know he's a smart kid. We'll move him on to 7th grade. I went out and I played basketball all night, and I can't play basketball. And I partied. I did whatever I could.
Did everything but study.
Everything but I got a 30 on the test. Now, my mother comes into the principal's office. They say, we've decided we're not going to let him, we're not going to leave him back. We're going to let him progress, because all of us here as parents, and any adult knows, if a kid who's warned that if they get a low score, will get, left back in school, and they come in and they do a 30. I mean, you get a 30 just for writing your name on the top of the damn test, right? They knew I was acting up. And you know what my mother said? She said, you're going to leave this little bastard back. Then she said, Damon, you're going to stay home for the whole summer. And I was at a better school. And she said, I'm going to move you to the public school down the block. Now, I said, first of all, no way in the world, I've been in this school for 7 years. No way in the world will my mother ever take me out of this school.
Wow.
Right? Because all my friends are here. Number two, my mother's working 2 jobs. She can't watch me. I'm going to slip out of the house when she is working. And number three, there's no way in the world she's going to send me up to that public school where they eat their young and they are just horrible people. You know what my mother did? You know what she did, Louis?
She did it.
She went and got a 3rd job so she can get a babysitter to watch me.
Wow.
It was back in the days when the parents could beat you. She made me take off all my clothes, lay on the couch, and I'm telling you, that belt, she wore my ass out. I was blacker than this before. This is how she beat me to be this color.
Wow.
And next thing you know, I was in that damn school, and I was getting punched in the face and my sneakers stolen.
But you wanted to belt through without it.
I realized the buck stops at me.
Mm.
And I'm going to have to pay for every single thing I do for the rest of my life. And I'm responsible for this because I decided that I made a mistake. And my mother, as cruel as she is, taught me something. And I think that, the mistakes that we make and the lessons that we learn, I think, you know what I mean? Teach us these things.
Did you get held back a whole grade?
The whole grade. There wasn't no half grade. There was no, oh, I'm sorry, we just kidding, go back.
What year was it? 7th grade, 6th grade?
This is 7th grade, the 2nd year of 7th grade.
No way. Middle school, the most embarrassing years.
Oh, it was horrible, man.
So you got held back a year and sent to a different school.
And they stole my kicks. They stole my sneakers.
She almost did you a gift by sending you to a different school, because imagine the kids you were hanging out with in the same school and you weren't in the same class. You were still a class below. That might have been even worse.
It would have been, because they would have punked me. Now, well, listen, on the flip side, all those kids, when they grew up a little more privileged, all those kids end up becoming, you ever see the movie Belly by Hype Williams?
No.
No, it's a drug dealer movie. All those kids end up becoming the kids in Belly. So they ended up becoming worse than me, actually.
Right.
Because they were sheltered, because their parents, see, my parents, when they were together, they tried to do as much for me because they had nothing.
Mm.
But, there's an old saying, if you give your kids everything, you're going to make them the poorest people in the world.
How do you do that as someone who has, abundance financially? How do you manage that connection with your kids to not give them everything they want all the time without them screaming all the time?
Extremely hard, especially right now. I mean, during COVID, I'm gonna let you know, if you're not a parent, every single parent is doing this. Hi, you gonna be good today? Yep. And then they go behind the kid's ear and go, oh, look, another present. I'm giving my child a present every single day to just shut up. But traditionally, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to let them earn and this and that. And I think there's a lot of challenges with that. My ex-wife and my current wife are really amazing. I wouldn't be able to raise my kids, and I wish I could give people lessons on parenting. I can't. These women can do it. And women have a really different relationship with kids. I mean, they throw them across the room, and then the baby wants them more than they want me. But it's very, very hard. I tried to do the whole thing with one of my daughters, saying, you know what, if you want a car, your first car, you work for it, I'm going to match the money. And my daughter went out and worked for it.
Wow.
And if I would have matched the money, she would have gotten a car that was a hoopty, like I had growing up. But a friend of mine said to me, he said, I know you're trying to teach your daughter something, but do you want her riding around in the 35th most safest car in the world?
Right. Or
do you want her riding around in a used one, but maybe a Volvo or maybe something else? Because you'll never forgive yourself
That's
something
true.
happens. So this thing is so. I mean,
Man.
we're getting off point, right? But we are talking about something extremely valuable to people. Like this thing is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. If anyone wants to achieve anything great, they need to go through some type of emotional embarrassment over and over again. In my opinion, I just did an interview with Kevin Hart yesterday. Comes out on Thursday on the podcast, and that's what he talked about. He was like, I got up every night in crap comedy stores for 3 people, and I wasn't good. I wasn't funny. I didn't know how to write my own jokes. I was funny with my friends, but there's a different skill to being funny with your friends to being funny on stage and captivating the audience. And, you know, year after year, didn't get the auditions I wanted. I didn't get any roles I wanted in movies. And I kept embarrassing myself, but that's what made me grow. I just think it's important that you've got to be willing to be embarrassed. And once you embrace that fear of embarrassment and you say, okay, I want this, give me more of it, then it doesn't have power over you anymore. Then you're not afraid to just do something. I think something that me and you have in common is we weren't good in school. We're dyslexic.
Right.
We didn't have the grades to back up with skills. We just said, well, we got to figure something else out. I took action in sports and then business. You started, you know, changing the world at like 18 in your business. And that's what we did. We just said, okay, we're going to figure out the next step. And so many people are afraid of the first step of just someone laughing at them. They're going to laugh. They are going to laugh. I'd rather them laugh at me on the way to success than laugh at me for sleeping on my sister's couch and staying there.
Is there a flip side to it where people also come around you and support you and say, I was always afraid to do something like that, or you got guts and, you know, I'm going to start messing with you now because I'm too busy looking at all these people who are acting so sexy and smart and we know they're just as screwed up, but you know, you're being transparent. I want to get down with you. Does that happen? Do you think that happens?
Does what happen? What do you mean specifically?
Do people say, I want to get down with you because I saw you risk it all? Because, you know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, people are going to come to you. Once you see yourself, you know, being successful, people are to come to you. And that's when you got to figure out, okay, are they really here because they like me or they like the success I have and things like that? Is that what you mean? Or the people
no, but what about when you just keep falling on your face? For all the people right now who are going to go out there and they're going to take on another journey and they're going to fall on their face, but when they fall on their face,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think I respect people that are constantly putting themselves out there at an early stage and someone putting out 100 videos after a year and they're only getting 50 views. I respect them constantly trying and testing and innovating as opposed to stopping after their first 5 videos that don't get views or something like that. Someone who is consistent is going to be successful whatever they do, as long as they're willing to learn, grow, and adapt and innovate. And so I'm down with people like that because it shows their effort, it shows their character, it shows their attitude, and they don't quit.
So let me ask some other questions right now because I know. Listen, you've been basically leading people remotely and letting people learn from you way before it was really popular, and that's why you're here today, and we know you. What are you saying to people, and how are you improving the leading remotely now, or when you talk to I know you deal with a lot of big clients, and they're probably coming to you and saying, how do I do this?
Well, for 10 years, I've been telling people you got to build an online business. You know, everyone's been doing offline, and now it's like I think Google is not coming back to the office for a year. Facebook, their employees aren't allowed to come back.
I think was it Square or one of them just said it as well. Period. They're not ever coming back.
Amazon, I think it's like half the people are. I don't even know what it is, but it's like. So for me, I'm like, great. This is what I've been teaching for 10 years. It's like how to build online influence, how to build an online following, and sell online. You know, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. You talk about that all the time. And so how do you build an audience and then use the tools available and sell? And how do you connect with your team virtually? And that's been a challenge for people for a long time. But I think a lot of it is just having great processes in place as well so that you everything is organized. You know, we're hiring more project managers. It's funny because for 10 years, I was virtual working from home, and literally 2 months before Corona hit, I opened up a studio and an office space to bring more people in a culture. Right. So it's like I'm working out of here by myself, but at least I know how to connect with people virtually. And I think that's the key. And what we really do is just try to tap into people as often as possible, do team meetings on Mondays, you know, just really create culture through Zoom. To be honest, we had a call yesterday on Monday, And I told some dad jokes because of you. I was literally like, what's something that's going to get people laughing and keep people engaged?
And were you often, because often when I tell a dad joke, I'm the only one laughing. Were you the only one laughing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for me, because I just think about your face for whatever reason. But I think of dad jokes, I think of David John.
Because you got to get a dry delivery. You got to just say it and then just
I can't do it. I just start laughing. So I think we have an amazing opportunity right now with figuring out who we are going to be in this time. This is a sucker punch, a punch right in the nose where your eyes are watering, and it's going to make you wake up and say, okay, what can I do to adapt and evolve and grow and keep doing what I'm doing, but in a virtual way? How can I shift? And I've seen people who have event companies completely go bust and have no more business.
Yeah.
And I've seen other event companies launch online events and literally thrive. They've been thriving the last 6 weeks. That people have been doing online events because they've shifted it, they've adapted it, and they haven't given up. And so for me, that's what's inspiring is figuring out what can we do and how can this be in our favor? How can this be for our benefit? You know, it's like, what can you save? Where can you grow? Now you can hire people all over the world. It doesn't have to be local. There's so many different benefits to this if you look at it that way.
What if there's an employee right now, they're not the employer, and they're worried, they're concerned about going back to work? Okay, maybe they don't work in, I've even seen now virtual secretaries right now, meaning you walk into an office, there's an iPad there, and the secretary will call the person out or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of people right now who want to talk to their HR department, or maybe their boss is not that tech savvy. Their boss is super wealthy and they're somewhere in Europe just hanging out, and they're like, oh, everybody's going to go back to work as soon as the country opens back up. And they don't care, or I'm not going to say they don't care. They're not taking into consideration their employees. How or what does a person now do to maybe get that information over to HR or to their senior management and say, guys, I have underlying health issues, or listen, all of us have health issues or whatever the case is, and we're all scared. Take a look at these things. What do people need to do?
I think you can't rely on your employer to save you. You can communicate what you want. You can communicate that, hey, I'm here for the long haul, because I'm doing a lot of recruiting on LinkedIn right now. Mm-hmm. And so many media companies are laying people off in my space. They're foregoing people's pay. Everyone's taking pay cuts. Like, it's happening for some companies. Other companies are hiring. It's just got to depend where you're at. And I'm looking to bring people on. I'm looking to hire because I want to build during this time. I think there's two things they should be thinking about if you're an employee. One is your network, and two is skills. And if you don't have a skill set that someone needs right now, you got to develop that skill set. So making sure that your employer knows how talented you are, and what are you going to do that's going to help them save them time, help save them money, or help make them money. If you can be an asset in that place, your employer should want to keep you and keep you at the same rate, hopefully, that you're at. You might have to take a pay cut, but hopefully you can keep you at the same rate.
How about that? What if somebody says, I'll take a pay cut, and here's how I'm going to take a pay cut, because if I'm not going back and forth to work, I'm saving 10 to 15% on travel and eating crappy food and all that stuff. I'll take a pay cut if I stay home. Do you think, and of course, they already have their virtual skill set ready and things of that nature. Do you think that is a good strategy? You think it's
I think it depends. I think it depends what you want. If you got a bunch of options and people are looking to hire you and pay you more, then okay, then you've got other options. If you got no other options, you got to make the most of what you got with where you're at. But I think it's a negotiation. It's all negotiation right now with your employer and figuring out what works for you. We have different situations with people on our team, and it's right now it's an individual basis of what we're doing with people. But I think if you can think about, one, your network, and two, your skills. And I saw someone leave a comment, what skills? You got to be thinking about if this is going to be a virtual world for the next decade. Yes, people are going to go back and working in an office. Yes, people are going to be in stores, stuff like that. But people are going to be hiring virtual now. What are the skills that you need to develop for the next 6 months so that you can become recession-proof and bulletproof and so desirable by any company? That's the first thing, is thinking of your skill set. The second thing, I've been on LinkedIn, Damon. Literally, I was on LinkedIn 10 years ago for 6 to 8 hours a day. It's how I got started. Right. Wrote a book about it, did events on LinkedIn, did courses, all this stuff. And then I pretty much divorced LinkedIn for 5 years. I was so sick of talking about how to upload your bio and your profile image. And I was just like, shoot me in the face if I ever have to look at LinkedIn ever again.
Was that your time? Was that your best-selling book? Was that the one? Because I know
No,
you
that's
have a
my
couple.
first book that I wrote about LinkedIn. Yeah.
And is it still relevant? Can you take because I know obviously a lot of things have maybe changed. What can they take from that book? And if so, just what's the book's name?
It's called Linked Working. And
Okay.
I actually made it evergreen, so it was more about relationships and networking, not about like the actual stuff on the platform. But LinkedIn, I got back on LinkedIn a few months ago, and I see you're very big on there and active. If you guys don't follow Damon, he shares some of his best content over there. Make sure to follow him. I got back on there, and I have been building some of the most incredible relationships with people, searching for talent. And I'm telling you, people, and I've been talking to recruiters, and people are recruiting on LinkedIn so heavily. And there are a couple of things you can do with your LinkedIn profile if you're an employee looking for more of a career that will make you so desirable and stand out. If you just optimize and take a day to really research other people's profiles and optimize yours, I'm telling you, it will make a huge difference, because just based on what I'm seeing is determining whether I'm accepting people's connections, whether I'm replying to them, whether I'm reaching out to them. And I'm looking to hire a bunch of people through LinkedIn. And I'm telling you, building your network will be the most powerful thing you do right now. It's what I did in 2008 during the recession then. And it's what got me to where I'm at today, having a powerful network. Because if you have a powerful network that knows about your skill set, you're going to have a lot of opportunities no matter what happens with your current job. So that's the two things I would say.
And I think that's good and powerful. And I think we probably need to reset some of my LinkedIn stuff as well, because, it's changing for all of us, and we need to adjust to a little bit of that. I got the last question. I know that you had and I mentioned it to everybody else here. You have a goal of impacting 100 million lives. And
100 million a week.
100 million a week.
That's the mission, Damon.
So your 200 million downloads, does that mean it impacts their lives? Or how do you measure that goal?
So it's measuring through audio downloads, through video views, through book sales, through tickets sold at events, through, courses, things like that. It's measured through all the metrics. We have social media followers, but the goal would be through people that are listening and watching our content in a deeper, meaningful way, not just a quick hit like a social media content. And so we try to measure it the best way we can there. And I started my podcast 7 years ago. The first year got almost 750,000 downloads in the first year. That's doing every week, going hard with a very small audience, maybe 10,000 Twitter followers, something like that. It beats being consistent. Year 2, I think we had 1.5 million. Year 3 was like 3 point something million. And it's just been doubling every year. So the goal is, okay, I'm not smarter than anyone. I'm not more talented than anyone. I don't have better degrees or experience, but I'm building experience by being consistent after 7 years now. And you probably recognize a little difference from the first time you came on to, I think it's been 2 or 3 times you've been on now.
Yeah.
That, okay, I've adjusted a little bit. I've grown. You see a difference probably from that year.
The setting has grown a little bit, but I mean, it was always powerful, insightful stuff that nobody's ever asked. And it always came from a very true, heartfelt angle. So I think that's why you first got at least the first set of recognition, because you were consistently, that's always been you,
Yeah. And it's just showing up. And so now we got, last year we had 100 million downloads in 1 year. So now it's like, how do we do 100 million downloads a month, and then every week, and then every, it's just like, it's going to take time. But what are the strategies, and who are the people who can help me get there faster? What's the technology? What's the content strategies that I can do? So I'm just researching the best people in the world who do this, who are already there. And I'm trying to say, okay, do I have the resources to bring these people on, to hire the team? And if not, okay, it's going to take longer.
All right. Well, thank you, man, for always giving us the insights and really just the honesty, and we appreciate it. How many of these do you do a day? How many kind of interviews? Because I'm doing a lot of these a day. How many are you doing a day?
In the first month of COVID, I was doing 1 a day, it seemed like, for the week, but now I'm just doing a couple a week right now.
All right. Well, very good, man. And you're healthy and everything is good? Yeah.
Everything's good, man. But I need a favor. One more dad joke from you, man. Give me one of your top to leave us.
I don't know if it'll be a top.
The Tony was a classic.
It all depends on where it catches you. Why don't pirates ever take a bath before walking the plank?
I don't know.
They're just gonna wash up on shore later. No. Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's good.
See,
Man.
see. They're dry, baby. They're dry. All right, man.
I appreciate you, David.
Love you. Be safe, brother.